Hello everyone, we are from Group 5. So our group members consists of Fatin Aziha, Muhammad Hafiz, Nur Aida Shasha, Nurazilin, and Siti Nur Diana. As we know, we just finished our big project on the plant designs for production of acetone-butanol from the corn waste.
The introduction. Do you know how ABE is begun? ABE fermentation is one of the oldest known fermentation. In 20th century, it ranks second only to ethanol fermentation. In 1861, butanol production through microbial-fermentation in 1L5 is reporting production of acetone by fermentation. Acetone was used during World War I to make the explosive product for the British war industry. Its own company unique potent microorganism able to produce acetone and butanol in great amounts. In World War II, butanol was produced as fuel for fighter planes. So, what is the uses of acetone and butanol? Acetone uses as for manufacture of methyl-butanol and solvents for paints, lacquers, resins, and varnishes. While the uses of butanol is mainly in plastic industry and is also as a solvent in the manufacturing of certain chemicals. Corn starver. Corn starver is described as all of the above ground biomass from the corn. It consists of stalks, cellulose, tassel, husk, and cob. It is classified as lignocellulosic by the biomass composed of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin.
Agricultural coal waste contain high composition of hemicellulose and cellulose but low composition in lignin content, which are much easier to do pretreatment. The advantage of using corn waste are cheap, easier, available, and plenty. Pretreatment is necessary to break down lignin to expose hemicellulose and cellulose for enzymatic reaction and increase porosity of the material. Steps involved in the pretreatment of corn waste. First, corn waste are taken from nearest corn product factories and corn plantation. Second, corn waste are milled into fine grind by a hammer mill, and the finely ground corn meal is mixed with recycled water to form auxiliary corn structures. Third, involve the use of enzyme to cut down polymer into monomer. Cellulose enzyme break down cellulose into glucose and hemicellulose into pentose and azose. The addition of alpha amylase break down starch into glucose. Fourth, the medium is sterilized at 121 degrees Celsius for 50 minutes and cooled to 37 degrees Celsius. Inoculum preparation. The culture used in this process are Clostridium acetobutylicum 824 and Clostridium bagianki BA101, which are obligate anaerobe gram-positive bacteria, endosperm polymerase, and non-mutagenic. Batch reactor. The mode of action, no addition of fresh medium to the bioreactor during cell culture processing. The advantage, versatile, safer, convenient. Disadvantage, cell growth inhibition, high maintenance cost, and downtime. Continuous reactor. The mode of action, continuous addition of fresh medium and removal of effluent during cell culture processing. The advantage, low operating cost, high rate of productivity, and good utilization of bioreactors. Disadvantage, fermentation free due to infection and mutation of microorganisms, and high initial character expansion. Cell recycle membrane reactor. The mode of action, the cells are separated from the effluent biomembrane and then recycled back to the bioreactors. The advantage, minimize cell removal, no chemical agent added, and also provide in situ separation of the cell from the product. Disadvantage, high membrane cost and membrane falling with fermentation route.
Okay, now we move on to the downstream processing. The upstream part, where the corn waste are being digested and be transferred to the fermenter for downstream process. For downstream process, at the end of the process, we produce the four final products which consist of fuel oil, acetone, ethanol, and N-butanol. But in our production, we are focusing on acetone and N-butanol only. Otherwise, they will be the byproduct for the production from the corn waste. So, how we separate all these components? This is an overview diagram. This separation unit of production of acetone-butanol. Gas stripping is the simplest way to separate butanol. The inert gas will just pass through the fermented brews. Volatile butanol will be vaporized and go out with a gas stream on top of the reactor. This technique are better than wind refrigeration and the one of the most economic techniques. For second method of separation unit using the membrane separator. The first technique are called pre-evaporation and the second technique are called pre-extraction. Pre-evaporation, a steam or the fermentation brews run through the membrane filter to separate the biomass from water, butanol, ethanol, and acetone. The method involved by the selective transport by diffusion of some component through the membrane. Vacuum are applied to the side of pyramid. Pyramid vapor will condense on the low pressure side. The membrane is to be the hydrophobic polymer. The selection of the suitable polymer forming the active part of the membrane is a crucial issue. The figure below shows the ABE fermenter that integrated with the process of the pre-evaporation. Next is about pre-extraction. These processes are using the special solvent extraction for recovery of butanol. The combination of membrane separation and liquid-liquid extraction in one unique operation. The butanol are diffused to the membrane and then acetated by acetrons, and the other components are returned.
Now I will talk about purification unit. Purification acetone-butanol is quite similar to that of ethanol in that both processes are to remove minor amount of water from the concentrated solution to get higher purity product. Firstly is distillation. The method to eliminate the toxic effect of butanol on bacteria cell is the systematic removal of the compound from the fermentation brew. As the butanol has a higher boiling point than water, therefore this process consumes much energy. ABE separation column used to separate acetone and ethanol from butanol. And lastly, butanol will fully separated in butanol separation column and produce pure butanol. Next is liquid-liquid extraction. It's considered to be suitable for butanol recovery and it more favorable for butanol separation from ABE fermentation brew than solubility ethanol separation because butanol is more hydrophobic, hence less miscible with water than ethanol due to its longer carbon chain. And lastly, liquid-liquid extraction are the most energy efficient for butanol recovery and purification from the dilute solution.
Extractive fermentation is one of the examples of liquid-liquid extraction. This figure shows the extractive fermentation process.
Next is reverse osmosis. It widely be used for butanol separation and purification process to concentrate the fermentation brew. They have three steps. First, nanofiltration of aqua butanol solution by butanol permeable membrane to remove impurity and get a butanol containing solution from the permeable site. Next, concentration of the butanol permeable using reverse osmosis followed by phase separation on the concentrated butanol solution into a butanol phase and aqua phase. Lastly, separation of butanol from the butanol phase with distillation. Lastly is adsorption. Adsorption technology, specifically molecular sieve, has been widely and commercially used for the final ethanol purification and dehydration. Can also be effective in butanol purification and dehydration. In the case of butanol production, the substance which we bond to the column are butanol, ethanol, acetone, and some water. The component not absorbed will be taken back to the fermenter. Thus, the fermentation process can be run continuously.
This process for absorption of butanol.
Butanol is more hydrophobic due to its longer carbon chain. Hence, butanol is better suited solute for product recovery using hydrophobic resin.
Alright, now we move on to the storage unit for acetone-butanol production. Acetone-butanol are stored in the storage tanks where only approved tanks can be used to store them, and only non-pressurized tanks must be used for safety, while tank trucks are used for their transportation. We all know that acetone-butanol is highly flammable substance. Therefore, all the storage tanks and the whole storage area should be marked with flammable placards and warning signs to increase awareness. All instruments and equipment, chemicals, and machines within the storage area should be clearly labeled for identification. This helps to avoid any accident to occur, especially explosion. Moreover, the storage area should be equipped with fire protection system in case the explosion really occur. This will minimize the loss and important to save many lives. And finally, for the wastewater unit. In general, wastewater from the acetone-butanol production contains high concentrations of organic compounds. It also contains inorganic salts. All of these substances are harmful for health if we accidentally consume them. Therefore, the wastewater will go through several processes to reduce the levels of these constituents sufficiently for recycle. Firstly, an aerobic process treatment is done to stabilize the organic materials in the wastewater. Secondly, biogas from the anaerobic process is reused as source of energy. Then, aerobic process treatment is used to stabilize the effluent concentration. After that, ultrafiltration is done to remove colloidal particles. Next, sludge handling and dewatering are done to reduce the volume and the water content of the sludge. The cake produced from these processes will be removed. And finally, removal of inorganic salts through reverse osmosis process, and the processed water can be recycled for other purposes.